Just 12 months. Literally 1 year after leaving Manchester United, Alejandro Garnacho is already out the door at Chelsea and heading to Aston Villa. It's wild, right? Welcome to this explainer where we're breaking down one of the most rapid, almost head-spinning transfer turnarounds in recent history. Today we're looking beyond the basic headlines to unpack the real core drivers of this move, specifically focusing on that powerful dynamic of manager influence combined with the player's own, fragile psychology. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this massive figure first. £40 million. When Chelsea completely broke the bank for him last summer, Garnacho wasn't just brought in to add a bit of squad depth. No, he was meant to be the face of a brand new era. But look, carrying a £40 million price tag, that brings the absolute weight of an entire fan base's expectations right onto your shoulders. It sets this massive stage for you. But as we all know, a massive stage definitely doesn't guarantee a perfect performance. Section 1. Chelsea Flop, the player perspective. Now, what's really interesting about these numbers is the stark contrast between the on-pitch data and the human reality of the situation. 43 appearances? That sounds like a player who's heavily involved, right? But the deeper truth is that the system fit just never clicked, never. And that leads directly to the psychological toll. So despite all that raw game time, his actual starts dwindled significantly, which left him feeling entirely surplus to requirements. And for a highly touted athlete, that kind of loss of inner confidence, it's absolutely devastating. And then, the whole situation was compounded by the arrival of a new regime. In football, a sudden managerial shift can literally rewrite a player's standing overnight. To the previous board, Garnacho was the golden boy, but to the new staff, he was basically an inherited problem. So whatever fragile footing he had left at Chelsea was just instantly wiped away, forcing him to start completely from zero in a pretty unforgiving environment. Section 2. Alonso versus Emery. Manager influence. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what Garnacho was facing mentally. On one hand, you've got Xabi Alonso's new Chelsea regime taking this very cold, purely transactional approach. They made it crystal clear there are 0 guaranteed minutes here. But contrast that sharply with Unai Emery over at Aston Villa. Emery didn't just casually monitor the market, he actively wanted Garnacho. Badly. And we all know Emery has this proven track record of taking struggling, out-of-form talents and turning them into absolute monsters on the pitch. So the psychological choice was honestly pretty simple. Do you stay somewhere you clearly aren't needed? Or do you go to a manager who's literally fighting to unlock your potential? So the crucial point is this. Garnacho picked Villa because Emery believed in him when Chelsea simply didn't. We can sit here and debate weekly wages and club prestige all day long, for sure, but when a player's confidence is genuinely fractured, the most valuable currency in this sport isn't money. It's a manager's pure, unfiltered belief. Emery offered him that belief. And that is ultimately the biggest reason why Garnacho made his choice. Section 3. The Aston Villa solution. It really was a perfect storm of squad mechanics coming together. In a massive twist of irony, Aston Villa actually funded this whole thing by selling Morgan Rogers to Chelsea for a huge fee. So Chelsea essentially provided, they literally handed Villa the exact financial flexibility they needed to take Garnacho off their hands. Tactically, Villa desperately needed that pace and directness out wide anyway, and by structuring it as a season-long loan with a super easy obligation to buy, it ensures this isn't just a quick trial run. It's basically a deferred permanent transfer. The whole shebang is practically done. Section 4. Rebirth or temporary stop. Let's move to the timeline now and see how this builds a classic football rebirth narrative. Think about it. Just 1 year ago, he was the absolute hero at Old Trafford. Then came the lost season, this huge Chelsea disappointment defined by limited starts and totally fractured confidence. But present day, now he gets a second chance at Villa Park. He's stepping into an environment that is practically tailor-made for his recovery, working under a manager historically known for rescuing players at this exact super fragile stage of their development. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. Will Alejandro Garnacho absolutely smash it at Villa under Emery's guidance? Or is this just going to be another temporary stop in a turbulent career? It's such a fascinating case study in how a manager's absolute faith goes to battle against the immense psychological toll of a failed mega-transfer. Because ultimately, guys, talent is only half the equation in modern football. The environment is the rest. So what do you think? Drop your predictions below. Let me know how you see this playing out. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.